Hey YouTube, we're going to go over how to convert the optic sensor in a Midway pump shotgun setup, where you've probably seen a lot of these orange replacement ones. These were used on in Midway games, Carnevil for sure, when the green and purple shotguns broke, the replacements were orange. But these same guns made by Midway were also used in the Sammy shooting games too, so they're just a mini pump shotgun. And the optic boards inside are different for Carnevil and then the Sammy games, as well as the wiring harness. So you might find some new old stock options online still that say for Carnevil only and for Sam games only. Hopefully this video will help you convert one to the other if you need the other when you don't have the right one. So this optic board is actually identical between these two, but the Sammy boards used a modified Carnevil board. So the optic sensor is the same. All of the transistors and the inductors and the IC are the same. All of the capacitors on here are the same. The resistor that you need to change is this one. So on our PCB, it's hard to see all the letters, but I believe this is R9. R9, I'm looking at my cheat sheet. This on the Sammy games, this is a 15K resistor. But on a Carnevil board, this is a 4.7K resistor. And I just had the regular size quarter watts in stock, so I just installed that. It's riding a bit high on the board, but there's still room inside the gun since these two caps stand pretty tall. I can't tell if these are supposed to be 8 or 1/8 watt resistors or if they're quarter watts in the smaller form factor. So probably just be safe and try and get a quarter watt one in there just in case that's what it's designed for. So you need to swap that out from your Sammy board to make it from a Sammy into a Carnevil. Now the other things that you'll notice on the Sammy version of this, where this is actually one that's already been converted, so I crossed off the word Sammy, there's going to be a resistor across two of these pins for this header. And it's just going to be soldered on the back side, so you need to remove that. You could simply cut it if you wanted to, but take that resistor off that's on the back. You need to change this resistor to a 4.7K ohm. And then you'll also see on Q2, this small transistor, which Q2 was a, I don't know if I wrote it down, I think that's a 3906. But on the emitter leg, which is the one that's at the top of the screen right now, on a Sammy board, this is not soldered down to the board. It's actually jumpered over, if I can get my reload wires out of the way. From that emitter leg, it's actually jumped over to this side of our resistor where this is R12. So from here to this leg, there's actually this small little setup of a tantalum cap and a resistor just hooked together, where one end, if I remember right, I can't remember which one was positive and negative, but this will be going to the emitter and then the other side will be going over to this resistor. So you need to remove that, and after removing it, you then need to connect the emitter leg back down to the PCB. And that's all you have to do to convert a Sammy optic board to work with your Carnevil game, is undo this modification and tack down that last trace for the emitter, take off the resistor that was on the back of the header pins, and then change out this one resistor, and you'll have a optic board that will work in Carnevil instead of your Sammy game. And you obviously can't go back to a Sammy setup without adding that stuff in, but I bet the majority of the people watching this are not trying to get their stupid turkey shoot game to work. They're probably trying to get their Carnevil to work with pump shotguns. Also, this optic that's on here is the same as the HAP 45 optics. What is it off the top of my head, L14G1 optics, so that's pretty much the same. Now when you go to use a shell out of a Sammy game, there's a few small differences as well. I have one that's pretty busted up here. I have two halves. They're the exact same mold, but there's one wiring modification that I'm not sure of if you need to remove it or not, but I went on the side of caution and I removed it. So in Sammy games, there's this extra ground harness that actually clips into the trigger switch that gets mounted right here on these two posts. So you can clip this into the normal trigger switch and then hook this one in, and then it goes up and it goes to this copper tape that's inside the barrel of the gun. And the wire's soldered down here, and there's also another side of the copper tape over here. But when the board is installed, that copper tape will ground out on the back side, I believe. And I've opened up a new old stock gun and used guns for Sammys, and they all have this copper tape mod to them. But none of the Carnevil guns that I've opened have ever had this. So if you're going to, again, convert from Sammy to Carnevil, I would remove this, and then this is just taped down so you can peel that up. But also don't forget the other side that's here. Now this kind of shiny foiled paper one is in the Carnevil guns, but not the copper ones. So I would also encourage you to just take that out because they seem to work fine without it. And I'm not sure what that would do in a Carnevil game if you left this installed. And again, there's no wiring modification needed here because the female connector that's coming off of your gun harness just clips into this male connector, and then this becomes the new connection for the trigger, then it goes up. So it's just kind of a ground extension that's inside the Sammy games. And then on your wiring harness, you might have the plastic black rubber, or you might have the metal ones. But again, inside the gun is identical, and you don't need to do any modifications to the wiring. So the 4 pins that go into the PCB, they're just, we can zoom in, they're red, brown, blue, and green. And then those just get clipped in right to the 4 that go here. And then this is your trigger switch that has the black and the white wires on it. So whether you have a Carnevil or a Sammy game, the ones that I've opened up, these have all been the same colors. Now the other end though, where it clips into the game, you definitely will have to change from Sammy to a Carnevil game. So a Sammy game will have this inline connector, where I think this is a 10 position connector, where there's some empty ones. Try to get it away from the rest of the wire so we can actually see it. But it's just those same 6 wires that come out into this plug. So you can just cut that off, and then you need to put it into the Midway plug. That is this is a Molex connector. It's a .084. It has the male crimp pins on the inside, but then it's also keyed so you can see some are round and some are D-shaped. So if we put the 2 circles on top and the 2 Ds on bottom, going left to right across the top, you need your blue, your red, and then your black. So left to right on the top is blue, red, black. And then on the bottom, you're going to need to put your brown, your green, and your white. So brown, green, and white. So you need to change the end that clips into the game, but the end that goes into the gun is exactly the same. So hopefully this helps you to convert your crappy Sammy guns into awesome Carnevil guns.